Welcome, everybody. So we're joined today by Sylvie Beljanski, and I'm going to tell you that we've been speaking for a couple of years now, and we cancer is a huge topic. I mean, we're what is it? 50% of North Americans are expected to get cancer now. Any young people listening, by the time you get older, that number is probably going to change. We've seen there's a rapid increase in cancer cases in the last couple of years as people have experience immunosuppression and other problems, and that's a whole other episode we can speak about. That's another 1 hour conversation. Right? We've seen recent data from the US military where they have an amazing database that tracks their health records of the soldiers and the service people, and they said that amongst American women, the service women, there's been a 478% increase in breast cancer in the last 2 years, like 500%. And we're talking about young people, service women, 25 to 35 range. So we know the new reality we're in is very different than what it used to be. It was already bad, and it's just getting worse. So everyone needs to pay attention. It's not wait and see. It's what's your cancer plan, right? How you're dealing with this today. And we are very blessed to have Sylvia with us today, who's been doing this in and out, starting from the work of her father, which she's going to tell us about, which she then carried the torch and continued on. So, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, and thank you for having me today. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to speak with you again because indeed we have had a few conversations already. So,
No, it's a pleasure. I mean, I remember joining you on an event from your team where you had asked me just to comment on a couple things, but it's one of the few events where I was there to say something, but I couldn't stop listening because there was so much valuable information, and I couldn't believe how much you knew, but also the solutions. So everyone's thinking chemo can't be the only answer, radiation can't be the only answer. What did people do before that? And we're going to get into some of the new cutting edge you're doing, some of the new work, but some people aren't even familiar with the old work. So maybe if you don't mind telling us the background of your father's work and how that led to the foundation and even your book and all that's happening. Just let everyone know about the background.
well, thank you very much indeed. My book is here, winning the war on cancer: the epic journal towards a natural cure. And it is a true story of what happened in France back in the 90s that really so egregious that I had to do something as a young lawyer at the time. I had to react to
Mm.
something that was so unfair, so unjust, that I had to do something about it. So what happened is that my father was a biologist, a PhD in molecular biology. He had been, very classical uh, biologist, I mean scientist working at the Pasteur Institute, the French equivalent of NIH. He had done all his career over there, but he was one of the first scientists to look at cancer not as a resulting of a genetic mutation, but resulting from the pollution of the
Right.
environment. And that seemed like a dispute of professionals, and who cares what is the origin, just give us a solution. But in fact it has a lot to do with the choice of treatment that you are going to pursue, and where you are going to invest in your money, in what kind of research. Are you looking to something that address the environment, or are you going to just invest in something that are going to target gene therapy?
Mm.
And of course, at the time, back in the 80s, everything was all about gene therapy. It was a new thing. They just had decoded the chromosome. Everything was about that. And they just poo-pooed my father's research. That was the beginning. That was still the good time when it was just poo-pooed. But then he went on to discover a number of natural compounds that would act in the exact opposite way as environmental toxins.
Mm.
And when he started to offer some solutions that were shown to be effective and to publish about that, then he started to run into some big opposition. He was forbidden to publish. He went on, he continued to publish, and he got the interest of a number of French doctors at the time who were very interested in my father's discoveries, which were natural compounds, natural plant extracts, which have no toxicity on healthy cells, no side effects, and target cancerous cells wherever they are located. So forget about breast cancer, prostate cancer, ovarian cancer, pancreatic cancer. Those little plant extracts are going to recognize cancerous cells, are going to really go selectively, and that's a magic word, selectively, to those cells and destroy them, prevent them to grow and multiply, kill them. So a number of doctors were really, really interested into those discoveries because that meant they could help a lot of patients
Yeah.
with the same products. It was easy and no side effect, no toxicity because they only recognize cancerous cells. So they stay away from healthy cells and they really target cancerous cells. So a lot of French doctors were thrilled with the products. And at some point, when former French president of the French Republic, François Mitterrand, got diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer, his mistress knew about a good doctor who had good results on prostate cancer using my father's products. And that's how the president started to take the products. And against all odds and against the prognosis of the conventional doctor of the French White House, Mitterrand started to get better and better, change the political landscape because they were ready for early elections,
Yeah.
anticipated elections, did not happen. He finished his second term, and they were absolutely furious. I mean, the French deep state was absolutely furious. They thought they were going to run the country and do whatever they wanted, and then the president was started to get better and ask questions. So after Mitterrand finally passed away, he finished his second term. Finally, he passed away several months later, and then they sent a SWAT team to raid my father's laboratory to
Wow.
destroy everything, destroy all the research, and they also spread my father's laboratory. They asked him to stay in the spread laboratory, and my father developed acute myeloid leukemia 2 months after that event.
Wow.
And they had seized all the products, so he could not even treat himself using his own products. Everything was seized. And I felt that was, so against any judicial procedure, that was against any fairness, that I took the case to the European Court of Human Rights, and we won an unanimous case, Beljanski against France, where they said that the French government had violated my father's most basic human rights. But in the meantime, my father had passed away, so it was what we had, a
Yeah.
court a court decision. But the most important, I thought, was, I mean, although my first reaction as a lawyer was to go to court, I quickly realized that as a scientist, his most important legacy was the research
Mm.
and continue to make the products available.
Mm.
Carry on with the research, make the products available. And that's what I was able to do. I started the Beljanski Foundation here in New York, a 501c3, which has been able to carry the research by doing partnerships, establishing partnerships with a number of academic institutions. We have been able to work on prostate cancer with Columbia University, on ovarian and pancreatic cancer, for example, on with Kansas University Medical Center. You need products to make the research. So the products themselves, the plant extracts, are provided by a company called Maison Beljanski, and then all the results of the research, everything gets published, and all the publications are available on the website of the foundation, which is beljanski.org.
So first of all, wow, your father literally changed the course of history. Incredible story. Which these types of things get buried because, as we know, history is written by the victors, right? That's where what we learn, what the victors want us to learn. But I've heard a little bit about this before, never in this much detail, and it's truly mind blowing. And I know the research you've done on the plant extracts. It's so precise and so simple at the same time. It's so obvious that these things work, but they're not being used in medical practice. And tell us about there's. I know there's two main plant extracts that you focus on. I've actually tried your product, by the way. I'm not a cancer patient, but I just tested it out just to see what's going on. But tell us about the two plant extract and exactly what is it that they're doing.
Well, if you do not have, cancer, you won't see much, because what is really interesting about those products is that they target cancerous cells. So
Yes.
if you do not have any, the product just pass through you without toxicity, without side effect. The Paupera also has a antiviral activity, but again, if you do not have a viral infection, then you don't need to take those products. What they are both doing, I mean, Paupera is coming from South America, from the Amazon rainforest. Revolfia vomitoria comes from Africa, and they both extracts have been now fairly well documented for having a number of mechanism of action,
Right.
synergistic mechanism of action. So they both induce apoptosis of cancerous cells selectively. They have an anti-inflammatory activity through modulation of NF-kappa B, which is a
Mm.
marker of inflammation. They also have a modulation of p53 gene,
Mm.
and then they also have a modulation of autophagy.
Mm.
So all that together, the result is that those both extracts have been shown to be effective at destroying cancerous cells at different stages,
Right.
from inflammation. For example, we had some studies on BPH, benign hyperplasia of prostate, which is enlarged prostate, inflamed prostate. So that can be taken care of with those plant extracts. And then full-blown cancer, and then advanced cancer, which doesn't respond, for example, to hormonotherapy, that was also studied at Columbia University. And then now we have done research on cancer stem cells, ovarian and pancreatic cancer stem cells. So what you see is that every stage of the disease can benefit from those plant extracts, because they have several mechanisms of action. And what also is quite remarkable is that they work in synergy with chemotherapies. And when I say chemotherapies, it's because they are being tested with different kind of chemotherapies like docetaxel, carboplatin, gemcitabine, those chemotherapies cannot be used together. They do not have good, they don't work well together. But every time there was a very nice synergy of action with chemotherapies. Let me give you some example, and I have
Sure.
the precise numbers because I don't like to come up with numbers without having my notes and be absolutely precise. For
Sure.
example, for ovarian cancer and Pau Pereira. So, Pau Pereira alone was able to diminish the growth of the tumor in vivo, in mice, by 79% and diminish the volume of acid. Acid is this liquid with full of cancer cells that uh, makes a big pouch in the stomach when there's a side effects of ovarian cancer. So the volume of the acid was diminished by 55%. But when you combine paupera and carboplatin, the inhibition of the tumor went up to 97%,
Oh,
and the acid was completely suppressed. And for example, also Rovolfia vomitoria, I mean, the combination of Rovolfia and carboplatin reinforced remarkably the effect of carboplatin and reduced the size of the tumor from 87 to 90%,
hmm.
and the volume of acid to 89 to 97%. So that's huge numbers.
Mass.
Almost 100% suppression of the tumor without added any toxicity.
Does it matter what stage cancer? Is someone stage four?
No, as I just told you, I mean, it is. We have done studies on precancerous cells like BPH, inflamed cells, and we had nice results because it was modulating NF-kappa B and P53. We have had full-blown cancer cells that we destroy through apoptosis. We have advanced prostate cancer cells, apoptosis, and again, NF-kappa B, P53. And then now we have cancer stem cells,
Hmm.
which that's completely different ballpark cancer stem cells because that those cells which are within the tumor are the most aggressive and they do resist chemotherapies.
Hmm.
So you have a tumor, you have been diagnosed with a tumor, you are sent to the oncologist, he does chemotherapies, he sees the tumor shrink, he says, oh, that's good, you are responding well to the treatment. Actually, he's destroying the least aggressive. The most aggressive cancer stem cells, they remain in the blood, they are undifferentiated, they travel in the blood, they go somewhere and they become a new cancerous cell somewhere else. And that's the metastasis or the relapse.
Hmm.
And you can say, that you were giving at the beginning an increased number of for breast cancer. I mean, 500% increase of breast cancer. It is important to know that as there is an increased number of breast cancer cases, there is also, thanks God, an increased number of breast cancer survivors.
Hmm.
But all those survivors, because the conventional treatment is not attacking the cancer stem cells, they are like feeling like they're sitting ducks, that the cancer can come back. So
Hmm.
they live a miserable life, many of them, with anxiety, afraid that the cancer comes back. And conventional medicine has nothing to offer to those millions of people around the world.
Hmm.
So it is most important to be able to have something that is able to address the problem of cancer stem cells. And we have been able to do some preliminary research on ovarian and pancreatic cancer stem cells at Kansas University Medical Center. And much to the surprise of the researchers, those little plant extracts, which are effective at different kind of stages of cancer, are able to address cancer stem cells. So we really want to be able to confirm that on breast cancer stem cells. As long as the research has not been done, we cannot predict for sure. And
Mm.
it is really, really important to conduct this research program. So that's what the next thing that we are on at the Beljanski Foundation.
That's amazing. You keep pioneering new things. I know how many people you've healed through the science you've brought forth to till date, and now it's like the real innovators have to solve the problems, right? You're not motivated by a product that needs to be sold. You're motivated by actually figuring it out, and like what innate human biology is already known. You just described it. The cancer expands and it becomes a stem cell. We're just not targeting. We already knew that. That's not new information. What are we doing about it? Is what's new.
Well, conventional medicine has nothing to offer that works, but that doesn't mean that we are out of options. And
Mm,
that's why it is so important to be open minded and fund research with natural compounds.
mm. Yeah, amazing. So you must have a ton of pushback because you're up against the cancer machine, which is a many hundreds of billions of dollars machine, saying that here's some supplements you can take. Do
Well, I don't say those kind of things. Try to speak on behalf of the foundation, to speak about the research. And of course, I mean, the research is not done out of thin air. So you need some extracts, plant extracts to do the research, to carry on with the research. And yes, I am allowed to say that, I mean, the source to
yeah,
out of transparency, the extracts were generously provided by Maison Beljanski, but that's it. I am not beyond that pushing any extract on the Beljanski Foundation website. You will not find anything for to purchase. I mean,
right.
except my book. And if you want to get the products, and you have to go to another website where there is no claims made.
Yeah. And so with all the work you've been doing, I've been watching you for a couple of years now. I know you started before that. When does this translate to allopathic medicine, to like a clinician, an oncologist saying that, hey, I've seen this amazing research. Yeah, you need to look at this.
Yeah, well, uh, as I told you, I mean, since the time of my father, he captivated the interest of numerous doctors. That's how the French president got into using those products. And we have been working with now with doctors in Europe, but also here in the States, especially holistic health professionals who are open-minded and willing to use conventional products, but also natural products to give the best care to their patients. Again, there is no need to choose. That's one of the
Mm.
beauty of those plant extracts. You get a nice synergy of action between chemotherapies and those plant extracts, and this synergy is documented. The publications are available on the website of the foundation, beljanski.org.
Yeah. Try Pectosol modified citrus pectin today and see for yourself how it can help you manage healthy inflammation levels to support your detox and weight loss goals. Listeners get 20% off with code UNPILL20 at ecoeugenics.link/unpill. That's ECONUGENICS.link/unpilled. And did you use that word of choice and choose, which is really important here because when it comes to most cancer treatments, that's a major consideration. Like the choice to take chemo, knowing all the toxic side effects, knowing all of what's going to happen, the choice of radiation, the choice of surgery, like cutting your breasts off. That's a major, major choice. And now all of a sudden you're saying, here's another solution where the weight of the choice is so much lighter. What's the worst that can happen? I don't have cancer and I've used your product just as a test, right?
Mhm.
And what happens? I pee it out. It's not
Yeah.
the choice of chemo and the potential side effects. So it's a much lighter and easier choice to make, and that's an amazing thing to be able to offer people because that's often in everything cancer related. It's so problematic.
Where I love also what you are doing is that for people who are, have cancer, I used to say those plant extracts are going to give you time. Now,
Mhm.
what are you doing with
Right.
this time? And do absolutely believe in education and doing tests like the one you are doing
Mm.
and taking this time to turn your life around and becoming healthy, because that's only then that you will get long-term results.
For sure. Yeah, you have to do the work. It's one thing to get this gift of your life back, right? Or maybe additional life. That should be the time where eyes open and everything changes. And what you do with your time, there's different priorities.
Exactly.
Right? And like, how did you get there in the first place? Let's unravel that. You now are given the time, instead of just acutely responding, now you've been given the time to really think about what got you here,
Yeah.
right? And that's the majority of the work.
And that's where what you are doing becomes so helpful and works with
For sure. Yeah,
yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure. So, these ingredients, I'm curious, you have something from Africa and you have something from South America, and they're so powerful. You gave us some of the data in terms of the outcome. How do they get discovered? Like, where do you randomly pluck on a tree and grab a plant? And
No, 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 no. That was my father. That was my father. He started with the Revolvia vomitoria, which was there was a big controversy back in the 80s about a Revolvia vomitoria extract, which was used to lower blood pressure,
Hmm,
but could induce cancer. And he examined very closely this extract. He said that reserpine, he found out that reserpine, which is a main alkaloid, was the one which was toxic and could induce cancer. But the rest of the extract was actually very beneficial and could help fight cancer. So he purified the Revolvia extract from the reserpine alkaloid, and he perfected this reserpine-free Revolvia extract, which has the anti-cancer properties. And because it is very messy, expensive, you lose a lot of product when you purify the Revolvia. He looked for plant extracts that would have the other alkaloids my father is using, the alstonine in the Revolvia vomitoria, and looked for a similar alkaloid that
hmm,
would be readily available without purification. And that's how he found on paper the Pau Pereira, and then he had to
hmm,
locate the tree and perfect the plant extract. But that's how it happened.
beautiful. And now, next generation, daughter takes the torch, expanding father's legacy. You
I'm doing my best, and I have to say that I have been very very lucky to work with all those academic institutions who have embraced this research
hmm,
without bothering if it was natural, not natural. They were really. I think there is at the academic level they want to publish on things that work. They want to publish on amazing data,
Yeah.
And they looked at my father's initial publications. They were impressed, and they say, okay, let's give it a try. We were able also to have a clinical trial at Cancer
Okay.
Treatment Centers of America on little fragments of RNA which are specific of the DNA of the bone marrow and help the bone marrow do what it is supposed to do, which is white blood cells and platelets.
Hmm.
And so we had this clinical trial on with people. We had different kind of cancer, different protocols of chemotherapy. What they had in common is that they were all at the verge of thrombocytopenia, which
Hmm.
is a lack of platelets. And none of the patients that enrolled into this clinical trial actually developed uh, um, thrombocytopenia, and none had to interrupt their cycles of chemotherapy. And at the end, they were able to produce more platelets than they were at the beginning, like their bone marrow had been actually protected during all those chemotherapy cycles thanks to the little RNA fragments.
Incredible. And now, after all that, you've taken your thoughts and you've written a book called The War on Cancer. You showed it to us earlier. So tell us about what we can learn from that book.
Well, the book gives all the information that I learned over the years. I
Hmm.
started as a lawyer with no scientific background, and but then I had, if I wanted to carry the legacy, had to understand the research. I had to understand how to take it to the next step. And
Hmm.
then when I started to give conferences, I had to learn how to explain that simply
Hmm.
and go to the what is essential. And I share in the book my experience and what I learned along the way. So at the end, you know as much as I do.
Yeah, I mean, you're so busy. I don't know where you got time to sit down and write it, but we're all thankful that you took the time because it's really all the experience you have. This is what you live and breathe every day.
Yes,
It's
and I am not a scientist, so I did not want to write a scientific book because
yeah.
who am I to do that? So it's written like a memoir, and it's an adventure book because I go from an adventure and to a problem to solve to another problem to solve, and and people tell me that they read that a little bit like a thriller,
Yeah,
but they are learning a lot along the way.
amazing. So now you've started some new research, yeah, and as if you haven't done enough and helped the world enough. Now you've realized there's something else to look at. So you've started to look at the link between melanoma treatment and how you can use ginkgo biloba green tea, which is really cool because when I start to think about some of the extracts, like green tea has EGCG in it, it's a potent antioxidant. I know that ginkgo biloba does amazing things for the memory and mitochondria. The brain starts to flourish. So when I think about what you're saying, it makes sense because you're getting to this innate, how do I deal with inflammation? How do I deal with cellular resilience? But again, we'll dive deeper. So what exactly are you discovering there in that new research you're doing?
So my father came up with a very specific gold extract of gold ginkgo biloba made out of golden leaves, and the change of color is actually a change of the chemistry of the leaf. So the leaves in the fall are rich in a different alkaloids, different enzymes, and the extract is not specifically helping with memory or blood circulation, but is helping with skin fibrosis, which can
Mhm.
result from radiation. And also, the latest research programs that we had with that extract showed that the extract can inhibit angiogenin. Angiogenin is an enzyme that is secreted by cancerous cells to help them create additional blood vessels. The,
Wow.
the cancerous cells need a lot of energy. They love sugar. They need a lot of nutrients to sustain themselves. And they develop additional blood vessels in order to bring themselves all the additional nutrients that they need.
Right.
And by inhibiting this enzyme, you let them starve to death, which is a good thing when we are speaking of cancerous cells. So that was tested on melanoma cancer cells with great success. And we are very, very pleased with that. And also the publication is available on the website of the foundation. And while we were working on melanoma, we also tested a mix of four green teas. The mix, we called it oncoti, on different kind of cancerous cells. Green tea is already known to have fabulous antioxidant properties. But what we saw is that not all green teas are created equal,
Mm.
and this mix of four green teas was actually more effective than other green teas like Lipton or Kusmi or Bigelow, because we compared them in the study to destroy a number of cancer cell lines, including four lines of melanoma. But we did breast, bladder, colon, and melanoma.
So what are those four green teas? I didn't realize there's so many versions.
Oh, there is four green teas. There is Formose. There is gunpowder. There is green Ceylon, and the fourth one. Everything is on the website of the
Okay.
foundation.
Okay. That's very cool. So you already have this amazing solution that's helped so many people, but you're still pushing and forging ahead to find what else can we do. And I can't imagine 10 years from now what your research is going to look like, and you're going to keep moving and moving and finding more and more.
I
And
hope so. I
yeah,
hope so.
and I wasn't aware of that. That's a beautiful insight where the change in the color of the leaf is signaling to humanity a change in the chemistry, which makes perfect sense. There's a change. So, and now all of a sudden the utilization of this natural healing product we have healed something else, which is
Yeah.
really cool. And so now this research is ongoing, or it's complete, or where are you at?
Yes, actually, we have a big event, a big conference to be held this October, October 13 to 15 in Jacksonville, Florida. It's a big cancer conference. The website, if you want to learn more, is integrativecancerconference.com. If you cannot come to Jacksonville, there are also streaming tickets available, and there will be plenty of experts of integrative cancer who are going to speak at the conference. But the purpose of the conference is to fund this breast cancer stem cell research
Mm,
program. So
mm.
that's a big event with a purpose, which is always what I like.
Amazing. It's a live event. How many people are you expecting there?
Well, we hope to have something around 400 people coming, and
Okay.
at the minimum, and we maybe 700 capacity definitely.
That is amazing. See, you continue to do this work, and this is where, I mean, you put your time where your passion is. A lot of people in the trade, are working on their wallets as opposed to the progression of solutions in science. And you're working for humanity. Like even this conference could be putting a lot of money in your pocket, but it's all going back into research for you.
Yes, it goes to the research. I like that better. And when people, I mean, they understand when once they understand the science, they are curious of the product. Once they try the product, they see results and things are happening, let's say, organically.
Mm,
I am never pushed to sell capsules. That's absolutely of no interest to me. But I love to speak about the research. I love to speak about the science. And
mm.
I think my passion and translates into getting people understanding that maybe there is something serious about it and it's worth looking into that. And by themselves they put two and two together and they get to the products if they feel the need for this kind of product.
So before we go, I want to ask you something where you said something powerful, which is okay, here's these supplements, and what they're going to give you is time, right?
Yes.
Because you're going to slow down the progression, if not eliminate it altogether. So once somebody gets there, what are you and your team usually advising people they should be doing with that time? Like where is their focus? Why, how do they figure out what made them sick?
Well, I mean, it's a time to big reflection. I mean, first, I mean, you have to be honest with yourself, look at your life, make a kind of analysis. Have you been drinking too much? Have you been revengeful? Have you, I mean, emotions, uh, food, I mean, bad food, binger, smoker. I mean, you have to make an inventory of your life,
Yeah.
and then you have to learn how to make some powerful changes. Uh, Detoxification is the first thing to do, including emotional detoxification, and then learn what is good for you, what is good for your body, how to nourish it properly, and if there are food allergies and things like that, and that are, I mean, things that you believe are good for you but are actually poisoning your body, you need to learn about those things.
And it's interesting how you use the word including emotional detoxification, because what you're saying is not only is it important, but most people ignore it. Because you're saying, please also include this, because when you say detoxification, people separate that. And it's such an important place. If you look at centenarians that live over 100, most of them have amazing relationships.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are much more than cells. We have a soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
and
That's me.
and that's powerful. I mean, there are some studies showing that, I mean, you can get sick, make yourself sick literally, just with emotion or stress.
Hmm.
And this you need to learn how to manage that. There was an interesting study, there were some interesting studies, and what is interesting is comparing them, about women with developing breast cancer. There was a study on Norwegian women, rather young women, and after divorce or separation, a lot of them were developing breast cancer. But then
Hmm.
there was another study in Sweden on older women who have grown up during wartime, Second Wartime, and they had, after divorce or the death of a husband, they did not have so much a proportion to
Hmm.
develop breast cancer, just because they were probably tougher cookies, and
Yes.
they did not. It's not about the event; it's about how emotionally you react to the event, and how you, if you make yourself sick or not. And there is a reason. I mean, there is this popular expression to make yourself sick.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to thank you, and I also wanted to ask you, anyone who's listening that is inspired by how you use your time and what you're doing for humanity, how do they donate to the foundation?
Well, thank you for this question. You can go to the Beljanski Foundation, BLJANSKI.org. And yes, you can give to the foundation. You can buy tickets to our events. You can buy the book. All those ways are going to fund the research. I do not keep any money from the book. Everything, all my authors' proceeds go to the foundation. You buy tickets, everything goes to the foundation. And so choose the way you want to give, and there are many available.
Amazing. And if for anyone that knows someone that needs support, go to Maison Beljanski and take a look at the products. Like I said, I'm not a cancer patient, but I've tried them just to understand the ingredients, and well done in terms of even the production and quality control. Beautiful stuff. Thank you again, Sylvie. This is awesome. Your mission is awesome. You're here to help humanity, and we're here to support you there. So thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for having me today.
Pleasure.